I'm here in Lake County, here with Kaj Ahlmann, and I am here with Kathryn Finn of Six Sigma Ranch. How's everybody doing today?
We're doing very well.
Pretty good. Beautiful day.
It is a stunning day. This has been a week of good weather. A guy coming from the Midwest could learn to really enjoy this weather. Yeah. I left 5 below last Monday.
Oh, dear.
It was wonderful. Kaj, you and I were introduced by my friend Henrik Poulsen, and you're also from Denmark, as he is. And I guess one of my first questions is how long have you been here in the States?
Well, I started traveling over here in 1976 on business. And then the company I ran in Denmark got acquired by General Electric because back in the 80s they want to go global like many companies. And then after a couple of years, the chairman of GE, Jack Welch, asked me to come over and run the entire business. So I did that for a number of years. And then back in 99, 2000, they wanted to move me one more time. And, you know, we had 4 kids at home, and I was getting a little tired of compliance in the corporate world. So I told Jack Welch that I really appreciate your offer, but thank you, no. And we parted on a very good foot.
And Kathryn, are you from this area originally, or where are you from?
I'm actually from Eastern Long Island, New York. So
of course you are.
My family is all from Brooklyn, and I grew up in Eastern Long Island, New York. And my husband and I came out here in the fall of 2012, funny enough, from Florida, for a new adventure, pretty much in a nutshell.
And the adventure turned into something a little more permanent.
It turned into a new career, and it turned into where I am today now as a winemaker, yeah.
And I'm not sure if we had identified you as the winemaker, but you are the winemaker indeed,
yes,
here at Six Sigma Ranch. When did wine call you?
To be honest, I grew up, so as I said, I grew up in Eastern Long Island, New York, and it's a small wine region out there. And before, when I was a young child, my father would take me out wine tasting, to be honest, to have a sip of wine to go with our steak dinner on Friday nights. And that's when I was first introduced to the idea of having a nice sip of wine with a nice meal. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was a sip of wine, you know. And then many years later, I have a master's degree in environmental resource management out of FIT in Florida. And like I said, my husband and I wanted some change, and we got up and moved out to California. And we fell in love with Lake County. I didn't necessarily know what I was going to do with all of my education. And so I thought I recalled to my childhood and how much I enjoyed wine. And I'm in wine country, so let's do something with that. And so I did an internship in Napa and doing sampling grapes. And from there, I met Jed Steele in 2015. And I also sampled grapes from him. And after that first harvest with him, he, I believe, saw something in me. And so he took me under his wing. And in 2018, I was made his assistant winemaker there at Steele Winery. In 2020, I believe it was, he had retired. And I parted ways with Steele Winery. And I was lucky enough that Six Sigma was also looking for a winemaker. And so I was able to kind of do a little bit of a smooth transition over to here at Six Sigma as their winemaker.
Kaj, I'll go to you. You're the owner here, but and obviously a great deal of difference from making wine. Did you spend your life around wine? Was it something that, again, called you?
It probably did at a point in time. I have been around the world quite a bit. I went to business school when I still lived in Europe, in France, and spent my weekends driving out to wine country. I had a job in the corporate world where I had to go to a conference in France every year. And I said, well, if you have to go to a conference and have lunch and dinner, you might as well figure out what this stuff is all about. So I started to get into it. And it built up the passion for it. And when GE wanted to move me one more time, I said to myself and to my wife, you know what, My passion is beautiful land. I love a Mediterranean climate, and I don't mind a glass of wine from time to time. So I'm going to California to look for a piece of land. And I got hold of a realtor down in St. Helena. He had been recommended to me by different witnesses as a guy who understood the wine country and sold plenty of wineries. So we toured. I started, I think it was in Mendocino, and then we did a couple in Sonoma, a couple in Napa, and this was actually number 20.
Really?
I had been told that the owner, I think he was 77 at that point in time, knew he had to sell because he was a bachelor, there was no family, but he didn't like the idea. So the realtor said to me, he will show you the property, but don't try to push him, because then he'll just log up. So I've been told to go past this building here, which is now a tasting room, and another 2.5 miles out that way, he would be out there with his cattle. So we drove out on a rainy day in November of '99.
Yikes.
And he introduced himself. He was a little sort of standoffish. But he suggested that we did a drive around the property. And we drove around for 3 hours. And when we got back to his pickup truck, he said, "What do you think, Kai?" And I said, "Russell, I think it's absolutely gorgeous. So will you take it?"
Didn't see that coming, did you?
And I said to him, "Well, Russell, you told me that you're a bachelor, and I told you I'm a married man. I probably better ask for permission." My wife knew why I was out here, but I think she thought about 20 acres and not 4,300.
Which is a really important number. I'm going to repeat that. 4,300 acres. This is a very, very big piece of land.
Not exactly 4 times the size of Golden Gate Park in San Francisco and 5 times the Central Park in New York. So I flew back to the Midwest where we lived then. We had a day of conversation. And she said, "Well, I have followed you on everything crazy, like moving from Denmark to Kansas City. So I guess I'll support this one as well." So I called Russell back. I think we will take it, but, as part of due diligence, I've talked to UC Davis, and I just want some soil samples in these 3 different areas. If I send him up, will you take care of it? And he said, "I'll be glad to do that for you." So he took care of all that. And then I called him back, and I said, "Well, Russell, it's perfect. So we'll take it." Then he said, "Can you pay?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Okay, we have a handshake."
Wow.
That was it.
Wow.
No attorneys involved. And we became very good friends, and it was practical because when I needed something done and I was on the road, I could just call Russell and say, "Do you mind taking care of this?" And he loved it. He followed every step.
So is he still operating the cattle here then?
No. Russell is gone. He lived another 10, 12 years, and then we bought. This is all 25, 26 years ago. We still have cattle. Russell was a little sentimental about his cattle, so he said to me, "I will sell the cattle. I don't want to come back and look at them, except for 2, if I can keep them here so I can stay chairman of the Cattlemen's Association for California." So I said, "That's okay, Russell." He loved his cows.
So, Kathryn, continuing with your career, was it an extreme difference being here in Lake County, whether that be terroir, climate, fog, whatever it might be?
It's definitely very different here in Lake County. I did my first harvest, was, like I mentioned, was down in Napa Valley at Con Creek in Rutherford, and I sampled grapes for them. And so I was at a number of vineyards around Napa Valley sampling for them, and San Giacomo, and et cetera. And so I did have some experience in comparison too, and it's very different. It's much more vigorous up here in our growth here in certain areas. However, it also becomes very different. There's many microclimates in Lake County. I'll have to say that. So, so you may be at a site that is very vigorous, but then at the same time, coming from the vineyards I was familiar with at Steel Winery, in comparison to here at Six Sigma, we have much more volcanic soils. We have very shallow soils, and that accounts for all of our vineyards here on the ranch. I think we're lucky to have about 24 inches of topsoil on the majority of our vineyards. So Napa Valley aside, it is very different here on the ranch than it can be in other vineyards around the county. So we don't have the problem so much with excess vigor most of the time. We are all on wells here for our water, so we're always waiting for our wells to replenish and kind of working with that for our water resources, and that kind of ends up being our limiting factor for our vineyards out here.
You find most of the 100% volcanic soils up the hill. The valley here, for example, is a mix called alluvial soils. That's an inflow later. So you can dig a little deeper here. But when you're up on top there, where we have most of our red vineyards, bedrock is easy to find.
For visitors who would like to come to Six Sigma here in Lake County, it's a little different because, again, it's not just right on the edge of the road. It's a couple miles to get down here. I'm guessing this is by appointment, or could people just come here?
They can just come here.
They can just come here.
We are open every day except Thanksgiving and Christmas Day.
Fabulous, great. And for our listeners who'd like to learn about you online, what is your website?
SixSigmaRanch.com.
Fairly logical.
Yeah.
Kaj, Kathryn, thank you both for your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you for coming up here.
Yes,
we
thank you.
appreciate it.